met a gypsy.
Obviously we get through the race weekend. Giz, this is where I guess you you enter the chat or leave the chat as such.
Yeah.
I guess what was the you know my feelings on this. I sent you a message after the race,
yeah.
So we're in a friendly space when it comes to that. But yeah, I guess like what was the vibe at the end of it, and I don't know, like what headspace were you in? Obviously, like then you put up a social post, but your take on the whole weekend and how it all kind of went down.
Yeah, I guess I summed up a lot of it in that post, but it was a difficult weekend, obviously, because I had my thoughts with the cars, and you know they all got up in briefing and said, you know, be positive, talk about the car in a positive way, and you know, I'm not going to lie to people if I don't like it. I want to be honest about it, so I'd rather say nothing. And I struggled on the test day with heat, and on the Friday as well at Newcastle, it was so hot in the cars, it was crazy. And then, you know, they let us have some things, but we saw people still falling out of the cars on Saturday and really hurt feet, and people getting put on drips and stuff like that. And we haven't seen that for a long time, so not a really good start. But then, of course, we had the DQ and stuff like that. So, yeah, I was pretty... I entered Sunday pretty, or maybe not angry is not the right word, but I was just determined to go out there and do my best and just kill everyone or smoke everyone, which we did. You know, in the race, it was epic. Like what the strategy we ran, the pace we had, and how we won it was really cool. But yeah, the post race stuff, I definitely could have been better. You know, like I knew exactly what I was going to say, and when I watch it back now, like, you know, Jess Yates, I've rung and spoke to her since, but, you know, she's really awesome person for our sport, and she asked quite a good question, and I didn't even listen to it. You know, I just knew what I was going to say and thank the team, and, you know, did all our talking on the track. So, you know, she did a really good job. I just, you know, knew what I was going to say, and I just left it at that, and then repeated it at the press conference. But, you know, so I know that I didn't do a good job with the media stuff, and I need to be better for sure. But yeah, like what happened after with Scaife and stuff, like, you know, with Garth and Jess, they commented on it as they saw it, which is fine. But yeah, with Scaife, he just went full ham, full everything, and like he knows exactly what we're going through as drivers, and he's been part of, like, I think he is the main guy of Gen3, and all the comments we've been talking about the car have gone to him, and he's sort of orchestrated it all. So for him to say that stuff and talk about it, you know, the way he did publicly, with he hasn't really said much to me about it, or nothing since either. It's like, shit, it wasn't real nice, you know. And he knows exactly what's going on. He knows exactly what the drivers are saying about the car. So felt like he was sort of using me as a scapegoat about it. So yeah, it's pretty average. But you know, I knew I needed to be better with the media stuff, as I say. But yeah, what he did was a bit too much for me. Yeah,
and I think, I mean, I guess my take on it, for whatever it's worth, is I think that, I mean, I guess what I do with the podcast, probably not as much in supercars, but with Supercross, and like I kind of have my opinions on the media side, and like I'm in the job of telling stories, and I guess like trying to dig for storylines, and because I personally believe that that's what makes the sport, that's what gives fans something to follow, and I think that a way that a sport grows and thrives is when people want to watch the race on Sunday, but then Supercars isn't out of their mind on Monday, and it's not out of their mind on Tuesday or Wednesday, or, you know, like people live in the sport. I think that's when you get, you know, the most fans. I think that's when you get the most fans coming to races. That's when you get the most sponsors. That's when you get like this healthy ecosystem, and it is kind of like built off the fans coming to the races. But then there has to be something for fans to like care about or believe in, or, you know, like be invested in. So I guess like my perspective on it, in terms of, I guess, Supercars saying like, oh, be positive, be that. It's like, well, be real. Like, I think that we should, you know, people should have the perspective that maybe the cars aren't perfect, and that's cool. That's something to follow for the rest of the year, like, let's root for these things to get better and let's learn where they're not the best right now. Like, what's the point of keeping these secrets? And then I think in terms of, I guess, just this weekend or the past weekend, I'm sure that you're not feeling frustration from one weekend. And I think that that's probably where some of the comments were really directed at, like, what you did on one Sunday for 20 minutes of your life, where it's like, this shit's probably been brewing up inside for a lot longer than that 20 minutes, you know? So it's like, I guess people come across like you look bad or you made this mistake over a 20-minute period, but in reality, I mean, it's probably been building a lot longer than that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's why his comments, like, he knows what's been happening in the past few months, but you can read and see through everyone's PR talk. Like, it's a shame.
Yeah.
You know, like Reynolds not being able to say what he says. Like, he's one of the most outspoken people and says what he thinks. Like, he keeps he's been quite quiet, you know, and then I read all, like, the test days and stuff. There's a couple of drivers I know, like, completely trashing, or not trashing the car, that's the wrong word, but describing the car, and then all the PR comes out about how great it is and what it's going to be, and it's like, well, you know, you're just seeing people scared to say what you think, whether it's at risk, they don't want to get clickbaited or made to look negative and stuff. And yeah, it's a weird vibe in our sport at the moment. You feel like you really got to toe the line for the sport and say the right thing. But yeah, like, I love supercars. That's what I grew up watching, V8 supercars, and all I ever wanted to be and still do is a V8 supercar driver. So I want it to be awesome. I want this car to succeed, and I think I want and I do want the racing to be good and everyone to jump out of the car enjoying it. And that's what I feel like I've been trying to guide the car and talk about my comments in that way. But yeah, I don't know. It felt like every time I spoke, you know, their eyes would light up. Oh, he doesn't like the car. He's struggling with it. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm, you know, it shows I can still drive it okay. It just... Yeah. It's a weird vibe and weird time, but I really want it to get better. I'm not a media person. I don't know how to fix it or do anything, but yeah, I guess just got to keep my head down and try my best and hope it turns around.
I guess from my perspective and like being in the media game, I don't understand why there's a need to sugarcoat a new car. It's just like, what's the problem with everyone being like, oh yeah, we've got this new car and it's day one and it's just not as good as it's going to be. Like, who does that hurt?
Yeah.
Does that mean that the fans...
the car's brand new. It's going to get better. Like, you can say that. Like, there's parts coming, there's changes coming, and you're never going to go to a Newcastle track like that and it to be perfect round one. Like, everyone knows that. So you should be open about it. This is what we're working on. This is what people are struggling with, and this is what we need to do to get better, and this is our plan for it. But it all seems to be a bit different. Yeah,
and I think that, you know, like, I just don't see how it's this damaging storyline that is everyone wants to stay away from, because then you look on the flip side of it, the storyline for this whole deal, like, since the race, has just been like directed towards you, and it's like, and it's still around the car, but it's still around the car sucking in that sense. So it's like they haven't avoided the topic of the car not being great by the way that it's gone anyway. So it's like, I just feel like you can keep, you know, your previous champion as not a villain of the sport by just acknowledging what needs to be acknowledged. And, you know, I guess my point is, like, the topic's the same regardless, but it's just making you seem like a person that you're not, essentially. And I think that there's something...
Why I feel like it. That's why I felt like the scapegoat, kind of. But as I say, like, the car, the fundamentals of the car are awesome. It looks good, it's aggressive, and it should drive good. You can see it moving around. Like, it won't take much to tune it up, I think. Like, when you see the way the cars hop over the curbs, they flame now, like, they look like everything's there. It probably won't need much to be better, but I don't know.
Yeah. Broc, what was it like for you to kind of be on the, I guess, like, the right hand side of this whole deal and watch it go down?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, first of all, to see Shane sort of get thrown through everything that happened over the weekend. But, I mean, the biggest thing that you look out of it, I mean, the two biggest things that come out of the weekend was we got disqualified on Saturday and that Shane got sort of beaten up on Sunday and the racing was sort of forgotten about.
Yeah.
So to go through a weekend with such big change and to see the two biggest headlines completely irrelevant to the actual racing was a bit of a shame. But man, I'll stick up for this guy for whatever happens. You know what I mean? And to see how some of the stuff that was said is just not true. And they go on about not being a good ambassador for the sport. I mean, we all see what he does behind the scenes, and even just talking to you now, like when you can let Shane talk about what he wants to talk about and be open about it. I mean, he's got the best ideas in the sport and everything like that. And there's a new drivers group that we all get in amongst and put ideas forward, and he's the man leading the charge, and there's a few other guys involved in that, but he's doing so much he can to improve the sport, and he's the champion for a reason, and people might not see it on the TV, but he's been a great ambassador for it. And yeah, it sucks to see what happened and get beaten up so much, because it's not what he deserves, and it's not what the sport deserves either. So that's a tough one. I just hope the further we go on, we can actually focus on the racing, and that's the headline. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all so worried about at the moment, just getting clickbaited stories. I mean, every time we talk, you got to be so careful with what you're saying, and
You have to think about everything.
it's
Yeah.
really tough.
Can't
And
say it.
I feel like I'm always really open with the media, and I'm actually always happy to talk to them. Like, I never have a problem whatsoever. But this year, as Shane said, I got to think so much about how I'm going to answer the question, and it's a shame. I just want to be open with everyone, and like we are with you, we're just open and we can talk about what we want. But I'm sure there'll be parts of this podcast that get clickbaited, and that's a new headline, and they might not listen to the next 30 minutes of it. So it's difficult. We got to really think about what we're talking about, and we always want to be as open as we can so the fans understand what we're going through. So look, at the end of the day, as Shane said, we want the racing to be the forefront. We want our talking to be done on the track, and we want the sport to grow, and I think the racing's got to be the forefront of that.
We're excited to announce the launch of our new membership site, gypsytales.com, packed with exclusive content and perks that you won't find anywhere else. This is your chance to become a part of the Gypsy Gang. And as a special bonus, if you sign up to an annual membership, you'll be entered into the draw to win our custom-built TC125. Gypsy Gang.